All right, we're going live now. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Today we have a very special interview. We've got a special guest, Julian Taylor. Welcome to the show. Do you got any first thoughts to tell anyone?
Hi, everyone. No first thoughts, just my name's Julian. Lovely to be here. Lovely to be here with Elliot. So looking forward to getting into everything.
Well, let's get into it. I've been looking into your background, into your persona. I've got a question. Give a background to anyone that's watching this and maybe your potential voters in your region.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Julian Taylor that they're going to get to know, and what makes you tick from day in and day out? Could you give me an insight onto that?
So everything,
literally
everything.
Your life story, and what fuels your passion.
All right. So the way I'd sort of put it is, well, hi, my name's Julian. I'm 20 years old and I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Arts at the University of Melbourne. In that, I'm doing a politics economics major. Currently, I'm running to be a representative on the City of Kingston Council for Yammerbook Ward, which is the suburbs of Aspendale Gardens, Waterways, and Brayside, that whole industrial estate. Now, about me, if I had to put it in a nutshell, I'd say everything you see me aspire to in terms of career pathways and where I want to go in life all aligns with one idea of service. And service is not as in like hand and foot, like waiting service, but service is in like servant leadership and just doing right by the people who you care about. And the way I align that with a whole career in politics and like the public sphere would be to sort of everything that I do from like this point forward, whether it be through education, through my own things at like a part-time job or like the future jobs that I hold, even going forward these council elections, is all with the ultimate goal of trying to serve people. So whether it's in council or I want to do a law degree after I finish my arts degree, all of that is about trying to help in the best way that you can and helping in the maximum capacity that you can with the resources you have available to you at a certain point in your life. So right now, as a 20-year-old student in university, I believe the best capacity for me to serve my community and serve people that I care about would be through local council, which is why I'm sitting here going for the local council elections.
You're talking about service to everyday citizens. Where does that passion come from? Why do you want to serve people? So
give a little bit of a plug back to St. Bede's here, but doing leadership through St. Bede's and like coming up in that whole culture of like, Lassallean leadership and school leadership ultimately, it was really instilled into you the importance of being able to give to others, but also give to them by adding value to them.
Yeah.
So it's necessarily the way that you think about it's a concept of servant leadership. So when you say that people need to be given value in life, they don't need someone to sit there and tell them what to do and when to do it, like a sort of like a dictating leadership. They need someone who's going to serve them in a way that it builds them up. It builds up their own personal skills, their own ambitions, their abilities, so that they can then do the best for themselves and then help other people as well. So it gives a sort of exponential effect. You help this group of people get better, and it moves on.
So you want to use your actions to speak louder than your words, so then people can eventually follow in your footsteps to become better people.
Well, basically, yeah. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best person yet either. I'm still definitely learning, definitely growing, moving, like, hopefully in a positive direction. But I hope that any sort of actions that I take will have a positive influence on the next person. And that person also does that. And it just sort of carries on. And that's how you sort of start building slowly but surely that, like, community group of, like, good people.
Good people. Very interesting. Do you have, like, a certain experience where it tipped you into that direction of servitude and leadership? Was there a certain point in time?
Honestly, I'd probably say like it's always been a feeling from like within, coming up, like growing up through primary school and whatever, just like wanting to like help people and wanting to do right by others. But I'd sort of say it became a career goal and like all sort of amalgamated again through the St. Bede's thing. And Elliot, you can speak to this too, the outreach programs that we did.
Yeah.
So I went on one in 2017 to Thailand. And Elliot, did you do both?
No, I do. I went to the India outreach one, not the Thailand one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think after that experience, it showed you like, and in doing that, not only did we go there to like we built a kitchen when we went. We didn't just go to build that. It's also like going and playing with the kids, all the fundraising you do beforehand, and the public awareness that you can do before that as well. So from a cause that was otherwise like unbeknown to me, by being accepted into that program, I then had to go into the community, into the school, fundraise, talk to people about it. And it was just sort of astounding how easy it was to drum up support for something that was a genuine cause. So people want to help. And it's all about acquiring that sort of skill that like enables people to help, giving them a platform to help. And that's where that came from. Did you find a similar thing with the India program?
So the India Outreach program was a very special time in my life, and obviously the Thailand was in a very special time in your life. It's where we've grown up in such a stable place on this planet, and we travel halfway across the world to go to places where they don't have anything. They literally have nothing, and a lot of them are orphans, the children. They don't have any mums or dads, and so it's quite upsetting to see. But they've got happiness. They're very happy where they are. They take life by its horns, and they want to live it to its fullest capabilities. And that's what I got out of the India trip. Hopefully you got the same as well, Jules, which is probably what you're saying, is that no matter how hard we have it over here, there's always going to be someone having it worse, but they always find a way to push through the hard times and just live a happy, enjoyable life. And that's what I got out of the program. It's just to be happy where you are, and also show compassion to your fellow humans. Show a bit of empathy.
Right. The one thing that you see from those things, or the one thing that we all sort of wished when we came back, one, that we could go back and experience it again, but also that all your like mates, all like your parents, the community groups, you wish that they had some sort of ability to experience that as well. Because you realize how like good of an experience that is, and like the way it like alerts you to the world's needs, and like just the nature of human nature, just seeing how people interact regardless of what they have, how genuine they can be. And it really puts you in a good position to try and come back and then do that same sort of service to other people. It creates a culture, and I really wish that everyone could experience something like that in their life, regardless of where they're at.
So with running for the local council, you're trying to extract what you learned from those outreach programs and basically your entire leadership qualities that you've built up over time during your schooling experience and amongst other things. You're trying to extract what you've learned to hopefully influence your people that you're running for, to make them see life is a good thing.
Essentially, yeah. So you sort of take obviously they're two different things, right? Like building infrastructure in like an impoverished country versus, sitting on a local council, chalk and cheese. But if you want to compare it, you've got to think about it like it's the culture of helping people. And I know I'm using the word help a lot, but think of it as there's a need that's identified, and then we as a group who are able to help go over there and help them. Put that on the same side as the council. All right, there's needs within the council that we have identified. Like people want certain things, and it's not that I'm sitting here saying, all right, tell me what you want. I'm going to go to the council and do it for you. I'm sitting here saying that I have the ability to listen to you, listen to your peers, listen to your neighbors, listen to the whole community, and then make a decision which is best suited for everyone. And it's that ability to sort of bring all the ideas together and then make the decision, which is the same, that's comparable to that outreach. Like realize all of the problems and then you help physically by building. Here you're listening to everyone's suggestions and solutions, and then offering a solution to council. So you can definitely draw a parallel between the two.
So you're basically saying you're a man for the people. You're going to collect the conscientious thoughts of everyone that you're looking after and trying to figure out the best way forward to benefit everyone.
Well, essentially, yeah. And I think every like politician or public servant should definitely have that as their main interest, because I think representing the people, it's not something that you seek for your own sort of fulfillment. It's something that you seek to serve the masses. And it's something that is a privilege in the end, right? So what I was going to say was, I've drawn a blank. But if I remember, I'll come back to it. But
Okay.
it's yeah, no. So yeah, sorry, I'm just drawing a complete blank.
We're talking about politics, and it's obviously an interest because you're studying a double major in Bachelor of Arts with politics and economics. Where does this passion for politics, separating from the servitude and the leadership that we've just been discussing, where does this passion from politics stem from, and why do you like it? Why do you like politics?
Okay, so that comes back to the idea of service, right?
Yeah.
I had that realization after the Year 11 Thailand trip, and also through doing leadership in school, that I want to devote my life to serving people. And when you think about it like that, I believe that the best way I can be of service to others is through the political realm, or through like the legal sort of realm in general, right? So that's why I'm doing politics and economics now at university. I hope to master in law to get like a Juris Doctor. And then that way I can have the ability, competency and like efficiency to be able to then operate within the public policy sphere. Because while I do realize that there is a lot of importance in doing the outreach at a grassroots level, like actually going out there, helping with your physical hands and like doing stuff for people, there's also a lot of work that I believe can be done from a leadership perspective. So we need someone in those public offices, in those public representative roles, that is going to have the people's best interest in mind. And I think my whole interest in politics comes from realizing that like culture, like not culture, that whole industry, like the political industry, that is the best sort of means of creating change for someone like me. Like I can work my way up to it and then create change at that level. And I think that is sort of the ideal level for me to operate at.
Well, we're talking about the politics. Is there any one person in the world that you look up to as a role model and you're trying to aspire to be, but be yourself as Julian Taylor? Is there anyone in the world?
Look, and that's the interesting part, right? If you asked me this question, like, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, I would have listed off like 5 people, like they're amazing. Like I want to be exactly like that person. But having grown up, having lived through like different sides of different governments, seeing how things operate, learning about politics in general and how the world works, the answer is honestly no. Obviously, there are good parts of a lot of different leaders in like different countries, even in Australia. And look, I definitely prefer some styles to others, but I think no one's really got it perfect yet. And I don't expect anyone to get it perfect. We're all human. No one's going to get it perfect. But sort of the best thing you could sort of look at is to say, sitting in a position now, like, for example, people say hindsight's a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
You've got to act on that. So sitting here now, you can look back on the past like 6 governments that they've had, different councillors that have been up in the past, like even in America, like different styles of policy making and whatnot. We have the privilege now to sit here and look back on all of that and then make our decisions based on all of that. So I'd say if you ask if I looked up to anyone, I'd say don't look up to any single person. Look up to the industry. You've got to choose the good things and what people liked and eliminate the bad things and what people didn't like, and find a way to sort of amalgamate those together to make like a more coherent solution that is then going to be able to be used as an example for the next generation to then cut back even further and make even better. And over time, it's better, 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 better. It's a right trend. That's what we want to create.
So that's what. And going on that, do you? This might be an off-centered question, but do you have a spiritual side, or more? What do you worry about in the future? Like, how do you meditate? Do you meditate on things, like in terms of thinking about future issues? What are your biggest worries? If you were the Prime Minister of Australia, for example, what would be your biggest future worries for?
Future worries.
Yeah.
As in like big issues that need to be tackled.
The big issues that need to be tackled.
So would you say, so just to clarify the question a bit further, would you say like me sitting here now, if I was Prime Minister right now, what I would fix? Or in the future at some point, if I was to become a leader in public office, what would I fix? Because there are going to be different issues now than compared to what are in the future.
Well, if you were the Prime Minister now, and if you were thinking about future issues, what would you tackle?
Okay. Look, the big one that everyone probably starts on and that I'm going to start on is climate protection, right? like that is obviously one of the biggest issues of our generation, and it's something that definitely needs to be addressed, and needs to be addressed in a much better way than has been done so far. I feel like right now there's too much infighting over this and that, like debating facts. People are just not sort of seeing the clear picture and clear goal of where we need to go. And there's no sort of middle ground for discussing climate. Like if you realize, right, you always have the two extremes battling. It's either like the extreme people on like the environmentalist side who are like, we need to do everything right now, shut down all major industry, like, you know, buckle it right down so we can like really save the climate because it's crucial and it's like important right now, which is like there are points there. And there's also the other side, which is like, oh, it's going to damage the economy and we need to maintain like, you know, different industries, manufacturing is going to go down, like that whole thing. And they're two different sides who are arguing head to head. What these two sides don't realize is most people operate in the middle. Yeah, we realize the economy is an important thing and it needs to be maintained. But we also realize the environment is something that irreplaceable and we can never like go back to it once we ruin it. So if I was Prime Minister right now, that'd be one of the main things I'd talk about, to sort of try and bring the two sides closer together and make a solution that is going to actually be progressive right now. Because both sides are opposing like polar opposite solutions, which nothing's going to get through in a democracy, right?
Yeah.
If you want a solution to actually go through, you've got to start in the middle and then push that middle forward as fast as you can, not try to bring the sides forward at slower rates. So that's the climate issue. Another big thing I'd talk about if I was in like public leadership right now, it's probably, I want to see Australia do better in the future in terms of like our economy, in terms of our place in the world, in terms of just as a nation, our own sort of nationality. I think that needs to sort of be expressed in a better way and pushed forward, and we need to create our own sort of identity. Yeah. So yeah, things like, you know, making sure we have really strong local industries, better diplomatic ties with different countries, and that sort of thing. And I know I'm sitting here running for a local council talking about like international issues, which are like 12 times above sort of the level I'm talking about. But these are the sort of things that sort of make it sort of tick over. These are the issues of the future which we need to address.
What do you think about artificial intelligence? Have you formed an opinion on that? Do you think that's a future worry?
AI, it's definitely a worry. And I've watched a lot of things on it, like in terms of like, you know, Elon Musk has spoken heaps about it, Bill Gates, all your main characters. Look, I've got an opinion on it, but I'm interested. What's your opinion first?
On artificial intelligence? Well, my opinion, Jules, on artificial intelligence is that we need it's Australia, we've got the worst cybersecurity of like a developed nation in the world, right? And I feel like whoever wins the artificial intelligence race will dominate the world. And unfortunately, China is in that category of leading that race and research. Yeah. So my thinking is that we need to create artificial intelligence in a way where it's decentralized and it's in the hands of the people that will use it that will benefit society, and try and steer it away from militarization and governments abusing it to control and gain power and to gain money. So that's my view. We need to figure out strategic ways to how artificial intelligence benefits society, but doesn't take away all these jobs. We need artificial intelligence to reach for new horizons, and with humanity in general, to travel to different planets, for example, explore the wide, vast areas of the universe, but not to use it as drone strikes and killing people and to control people. That's my opinion on it, Jules.
There's definitely, right? Like it's something that's got so much potential, but also so much sort of detriment as well. And it all depends on who's in control of it.
Who's in control?
To say that we need good people to control it, we also need good people to, you know, run countries. We need good people to be in charge of all the militaries. We need good people to environmental policy. We need good people to sit on council. That's the issue of the world. We need good people, and we can't always guarantee good people. There's literally no way guaranteeing good people.
Going on the topic of good people, Jules. Do you have a spiritual side? Do you like to improve oneself to be a better person every day?
Do you mean religious when you say spiritual, or more just sort of like self-help, like inner sort of thoughts?
Inner self, positivity. Do you have a routine to where you're going to tackle the day, and how do you improve yourself each day?
I wouldn't say I've got a routine that I stick to every day, but it's definitely like a big consideration. I think like self-help, like sort of reflecting on your own ways of doing things, and just ensuring like your own sort of productivity is definitely something that only you can sort of take charge of, and it's definitely something that people need to be in control of. And that's one of the major things that I'm running on with this local government campaign. I want to do a lot of mental health advocacy. So moving sort of in that realm, I feel like there's obviously a lot of there are a lot of facilities, right, offered by like councils, by the government, whatever, like, you know, Lifeline, Beyond Blue. A lot of facilities that people can reach out to sort of get those things done. And if you need help, there are those things there. But instinctually, I feel like people don't turn to that as a first resort. They have higher preferences. Like, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but if you're having like one of those dark moments, or like you really need to talk to someone, you're not reaching for the phone to call a company straight away. You want to hear from your friends. You want to hear from your family. You want to hear from those closest to you first before you even think of reaching further. And I think the issue there is that the people closest to you are not always best equipped to deal with certain issues that you have. So if you go to someone for advice and they can't help you, it's a catch-22 where you only want to talk to this person, but that person doesn't have the means to help you. Even if they want to help you, they don't have the means to. So a thing that I want to focus on is giving more people the ability to help more people, which ties nicely back into that starting thing. But like having training courses out there, like different modules that you can do, training sessions, like meetings and stuff that prepare people to be able to help others in terms of like mental health. So if your mate comes to you and he's got an issue with whatever it is, I want you to be able to sit there and help that person productively. Not and have the skills to do it. Like, people want to help. I just want to give them the skills to help. That's it. I believe that people will do the right thing, but they just need the skills to do it. And I'm not saying that I have the skills to solve everyone's issues either. But I think if we have professionals in like different industries coming in and actually teaching people, it's going to be very productive for mental health. And that ties back into the whole thing about spirituality. Like, that's sort of my view on it. I want people to be able to turn to those who they want to turn to get the help that they need.
Yeah. Good answer, Jules.
Yeah.
Because that I haven't really thought of that properly with the way you described it with calling a company. We don't really call the ones that we love, that we hold closer to ourselves. There's not really an initiative or a way to tell people that where they can help you.
Because you want to talk to the people closest to you, right? And sometimes like they may not, and most, like if they're your real friends, they will pick up and they will talk to you, which is amazing. But sometimes they just don't have the facility to be able to productively help you. And I think if we give more people the ability and the skills to do that, it's only going to do good.
Yeah. And that's one of the forefronts of what you're running on for the local council.
Yes, that's one of the four major points that I'm taking.
So you mentioned 4 major points. Outline the 4 major points. Well, what's your 4 major points?
So the sort of structure I'm taking with this whole campaign is that I've chosen 4 things that are very important to me that I'm going to push for, that I can champion. And inclusive, so I'll explain the 4 first. So one of them is mental health advocacy, which is everything I just spoke about, making it more approachable, more facilities, that sort of thing. Another one is a better budget. So as a student of economics, doing economics through VCE, now at university, seeing I'm probably moving towards that sort of field in a career. I think there's a lot of inefficiencies in the way the council uses their budget and the way they allocate their money. So certain projects don't need as much of a focus. Certain projects are ignored that are going to add much more to the council in the future. Yeah. So I'm talking about increasing efficiency while also maintaining a strong focus on utilizing local businesses. So sometimes councils, when they hear the word they need to do something with the budget, they think, all right, efficiency, bang. So they choose the cheapest company. It's some big conglomerate, probably international money, that's just going to do the job for the cheapest, like bare minimum, and get it done. While that's economically very smart, it's also not, because all of that money that we're spending is then exiting the community, right? It's gone. It's never coming back in. council needs to think of it in a way as in if they champion local business to do it and they employ people who are within our area and within our communities, then that money stays in the community. That person then goes and spends it on the next local business and the next one and the next one. And that's how we grow the community itself rather than just throwing money overboard. So I think that's another one of my main focuses. So it's a better budget. And I've got these 4 sort of like icons that we've used for each one.
Yeah.
The third one is upgrading local amenities. So I think everyone likes to be proud of where they live. Like, as in, we've all done the thing where we go for a drive, like, oh, let's drive through this suburb because it looks really rich, or let's drive through like this area because it's got really nice like things to look at. Like, you want to
dream to aspire to be better.
People always, oh, this area is really cool, or this area looks really drab. Like that, we all have those like opinions about different places, and I think people want to be proud of where they live, and they can't really do anything about it. That's their council's job. So if elected to council, that'd be something I'd push for, especially in my area and the whole of the city of Kingston. That we need to, upgraded amenities. So things like, better footpaths, better open spaces, like different art installations, making sure like, nature strips and stuff are well maintained. And I know it sounds really boring to talk about, nature strips and like road signs and stuff, but
it's the little things
the little things will definitely help. These are all these little things that will build up to like create an identity, create a sense of pride in the community. And I think if people are proud of something, they're more inclined to help push it forward. And it's all about progression. So we're moving forwards with everything. So they're those 3. And this last one is sort of one of the main ones, because it sort of opens it up to much more than just these 4. And it's all about listening to people. So it's that. So fact of the matter is, I'm 20 years old, right? I haven't had any experience in public office before. I haven't done public policy officially. I don't have those same sort of skills. I don't have the same sort of experience that some older councillors may have. And everyone who sees that straight away thinks that's a negative. That's an X next to my name. I want to construe it in a way, I want to sort of put it in a way that shows people that's a strength. I don't come with my own preconceptions. I don't come with an agenda. I don't come with a way I'm stuck in doing things. I don't come with bad habits. I'm fresh. It's like I'm going through university now and I'm running for this council role. So what you're seeing is my education directly interacting with a possible career like through the council, and they'll build off each other. So not only will my education inform my actions in the council will inform my education. So they both build off each other, and then it's sort of catered in a way where the final product is something that is made by the people.
Yeah.
So, and it's also like, because I don't have that experience, because I'm not stuck in my ways and not stubborn on any sort of policy issues, it gives more opportunity for the people to be represented. So if you want something done and you come talk to me and give me a good case for it, more likely than not, I will fight for that and I will champion that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have my own agenda. I'm here to push forth the agenda of the people.
You want to grow along with the community. And so that will allow them to relate to you a lot more. And you'll be able to get a lot more things done. That's a really, like, not unorthodox, but it's not really tried out in politics. And
it's a very unique thing to local government as well. So at local government, there's really no party politics, right? You don't have to answer to your higher ups. There's no factions. You're not talking to all these behind the scenes. Have US, and that is ideal. That gives you a lot of capacity to make a lot of change, which in other levels of government and in other sort of communities, it's going to be very tricky to do.
Yeah. Interesting. And do you have any, if you got to the point where you're able to give off some words of advice to people that want to follow in your footsteps in terms of running for local councils or maybe even bigger things, what would your words of wisdom be?
Well, I think I've said this to one other group before, but it's absolutely do it. Because so I was sitting at home, right? I've always known that, all right, I want this career in service. I want to help people in the future. I want to like affect people's lives positively. Okay, I chose my university course. It's going to be politics and economics. But this whole thing about running for local council, it sort of came out of nowhere. Like I was like I knew the elections were coming up, and then I was approached by some other friends that I've made in the community who were also running in like adjacent wards, and they sort of were speaking to me about their experiences and how sort of straightforward and easy it was to run. And I realized like now's a better time than ever to actually go for this thing and to actually try to start it. And the way I sort of talk about it, the way I sort of keep my own morals up is that obviously it's very challenging. It's the first time I've ever done an election. It's a big task ahead of me. And whether I'm elected or not, the sheer experience of just running a campaign, getting to get out into the community to meet people through Zoom, obviously, and to talk about their issues and see what matters to them, that is a crucial step in sort of building up that competency in being able to represent people in the future and being able to push for their wants and needs in the future. So yeah, I just think that anyone who's looking to do it, it's never too early to try. Like I was thinking, I don't have the skills to, I don't have the experience, but no, you can find strengths in that. My strength is that I will be able to listen to people. I will be able to champion others' ideas instead of my own. Like never sort of rule yourself out because of age and because of like different skill sets you have. Yeah. Those deficiencies will also come with a very high proficiency. So something that you can like, that's something that'll benefit people genuinely. And I wouldn't be sitting here going for this position if I didn't think I could genuinely help people. Like if I thought that I would be doing a worse job than what's happening now, I wouldn't even try to go for it because I want the community to have the best thing. But I genuinely believe that I can do better.
So you've got that growth mindset. You want to be better and you want to make people around you better. That's a true quality of a leader.
Thanks.
For a 20-year-old person to say that, it means that you're going to go leaps and bounds to achieve your dreams. That's amazing, Jules.
Oh, we hope so. We hope so.
Well, positive mindset, reinforcement, visualization. It's always a good part of that. And we're going to turn this around now. We're going to talk about things that are affecting us. For example, lockdown, and your thoughts on coronavirus. What's your opinion on the entire coronavirus situation in Victoria and lockdown? What have you done it differently? Yeah.
I think hindsight's always a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
People are very easy to sort of sit there and be like, hey, the way the government's acted or the way, the health advice has been, well, look what actually happened. Like this, and this went the opposite of what they said. And while that's factually true, you've also got to be considerate of the fact that we've never dealt with anything like this ever before. Like everyone living,
it's unforeseen.
Unforeseen. Everyone living right now who's in a position of power and a capacity to do anything has never lived through a pandemic in their lives before. Nothing like this. So we can't expect anyone to know what to do properly. We can look at history and see what happened then, but we live in a different world. The rate of transmission because of things like travel and the things like international travel and the way people movement happens now, 10 times different to what was in the past. So we can't look at it and expect the people in charge now to do a perfect solution. Now, having said that, obviously there are things that like you would have done differently, like different sort of regulations and different sort of like lockdown measures and whatnot. But I would be very conservative in my judgment of anyone in a position of power right now, because of the fact that we just can't expect people to know what to do. Like it's unprecedented.
And going off that with Dan Andrews, why do you think there's such a volatile political sphere in Victoria right now with people absolutely hating Dan Andrews and what he stands for and people that are just standing by Dan? Why do you reckon, why is there a divide?
It's fear. I'm scared of the pandemic. You're scared of the pandemic. We're scared of this. No one knows what it's going to do. It's called a novel virus for a reason, right? We've never seen it before. So I think that sort of the polarization you're seeing in terms of like Dan Andrews' approval ratings, it's all based off the fact that people are either giving him their trust wholeheartedly, like they're throwing their entire trust and like belief behind him, or they're choosing to completely oppose it, saying like, I'm not going to stand by this because this is going to fail. And it's again, that sort of you're talking about two opposites again.
It's counterproductive, isn't it? Yeah, counterproductive.
Because it's two sides fighting instead of one sort of unitary front moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So no, like I can sit here and say Dan Andrews, he hasn't done a perfect thing. But can you really expect him to? The only thing I would push for with Dan Andrews right now is for him to sit there and take the advice of the Chief Health Officer and the health departments and cooperate with the federal government as well, and be proactive in sort of addressing a plan to reduce the pandemic rather than sort of chasing it as it happens. So I find a lot of the policies reactive. It's like, oh, we've had an outbreak, lockdown. Not, oh, we're going to have an outbreak, so we should lock down now. Like it's all about being proactive rather than reactive.
And being tactical and
for this government.
Because it does seem that there isn't really a plan out for Victoria to go out of lockdown. Seems it will happen when it will happen. It does, yeah.
And that's what we saw with this 12-month extension that they're pushing for, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Parliament hasn't sat yet for it, but I think they're agreeing to do a 6-month extension instead.
No.
Something along those lines. But I couldn't really see, like, I understand why they're doing it. Like, the government needs to maintain those powers to be able to, like, keep people safe into the future. But the fact that they're pushing for it such a long period, which is 12 months, shows that they really have no sort of plan to get out of it. They're preparing as if we're going to be dealing with this pandemic for the next 12 months with no real solution to it. And I know, like, a vaccine is the only ultimate solution, but we need some more creative and more proactive thinking and to sort of give people hope that there will be an end. Because if you're indefinitely just extending these state of emergencies, it shows that there's no end to it. People are losing morals. Right. And then we're coming back to the whole issue of, like, mental health is increasing, domestic violence is increasing, like 10 other issues that are created by this. So unless there is strong justification for increasing by such large periods of time all at once, I definitely think that should be shorter. Like, I want to hear your opinion on this. I was thinking of this yesterday. If we, instead of doing like a 12-month extension to it, what if they do like 3 months? Or like, so like they extend it by 3 months, and then at the end of that 3 months, they get a parliamentary review of it. Because Parliament is democracy.
Yeah, we do need a vote on it and a democracy, because if we don't vote on it, how are the communities that they're serving have a voice? So we do need that part.
Going away the keys for 12 months, right? If you agree to a 12-month extension, that's saying this government can do what they want for 12 months, non-checked by Parliament.
Which is, it's not. I understand the fear from people from the very polarized opposition to Dan Andrews, saying that, oh, you can't do that. Don't let him do this, because we'll be living like communist China and drones will be flying over us and we'll be consistently monitored. I don't think that will happen, but it does undermine what our democracy is. A good quote by Albert Einstein is that only a fool blindly follows authority. You have to have some degree of skepticism to look at this critically and say, we do need a vote on this. We don't know what the best possible solution is, but perhaps my opinion, if I was in the position they were in, is vote on a month-by-month lockdown procedure where, depending on what's happened for that month, they can see and plan out if they need to do it again.
And a parliamentary vote, not just like parliamentary.
Parliamentary vote, so they have like an independent body also viewing that to disagree with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if the lockdown procedures are still needed, it'll absolutely still be enforced. Like, if we still need to wear masks and we still need to be at home, 100% that should be happening, because that is the best response that we have. But if Parliament doesn't agree, and when I say Parliament, I don't mean Labor versus Liberal versus Greens. I mean each electorate that is being represented. We need to have all the people thinking for the collective, right?
Yeah.
So if we're giving this government 12 months of like unlimited powers under the I don't know the name of the act, but the state of emergency, that means for 12 months, no Liberal Party member, no Greens Party member, like all the other people in the Parliament apart from Labor, none of them are going to have an input on it. And people need to realize that the government is Labor, but Parliament still consists of another like so many people, all who represent their own constituencies of like 50,000 people or like 30,000 people, whatever it is, in state electorates. And those people are then therefore not being represented in those decisions. It's only the Labor seats that are. So to keep that even and to keep it consistent with democracy, I think that, a month-to-month or a 3-monthly basis, parliamentary should definitely be kept up in order to sort of maintain that level of democracy and the level of oversight, because there's always a check on himself. It ensures no one goes too far.
So the crazy thing about this all, and I think you can agree with me on this, Jules, is that we've been very counterproductive with the agendas from both Labor, Liberal and Greens. It seems that they're all pushing their own agendas and they're not necessarily listening to what the community wants. And that's why Dan Andrews wants to push a 12 months or 6 months extension. And then Liberals will always oppose that. But they're thinking about themselves, they're thinking about party politics. And what you're trying to reinstate into the community is that, yes, you might have a certain political affiliation, but you're voted in there by the people and you're there to govern the people and make the community a better place for your people that you're looking after. And it just seems that this whole lockdown thing is very politically fueled. And if people followed the collective thinking that you've put forward, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We would all be united. But I think that could be a flaw of human nature, though.
Ideally. It's an inherent flaw of human nature.
It's an inherent flaw.
That would be ideal, yeah. No, exactly.
We love picking a side, don't we? We love supporting one team. Like, we love supporting the Tigers. And we hate the Essendon Bombers. You know.
They're actually not doing
They're not. They're doing pretty well.
Usually I don't say that in public, but, I'll start wearing the jersey again.
Wear the jersey again.
But, you're absolutely right. I think if we put party politics aside, at the end of the day, it's all about the people's interests being represented. And I know, absolutely, I don't think that, Dan Andrews is like a dictator or he's doing any Chairman Dan stuff. I think all of that's just an exaggeration by the other side's, trying to attack him. He's doing a fairly good job with the resources that he has. Obviously he's not perfect, but I don't see how anyone else in this position, if you rewind it and put them in that position going forward, I don't see how anyone could do drastically better. And I think the only sort of way you could move forward from this is that we ensure that parliamentary check is maintained, so that the Dan Andrews and his executive with the Chief Health Officer, they should have that discretion to be able to enforce all those rules and lockdowns and stuff. But I think that power should always be checked by Parliament. If you extend it for 12 months without any check, and I'm not saying that this could happen, but that gives them essentially unlimited powers to do whatever they want. And that's basically alienating everyone who isn't within that executive rank or in the Chief Health Officer's sort of bracket. And in a democracy, as wonderful as it is, every single person should always have a say in what happens. If you sort of delegate that power to a certain group, you're essentially breaking down the fundamental things of democracy, and then that always leaves it open, sort of moving to other things in the future. But it does start with small things like this. So we need to be very wary of it.
This will be a bit of a thinking exercise, but do you reckon democracy could work a lot better if there weren't any party affiliations and everyone was... Oh, where's he gone? Oh, almost Jules. Perth was 1 second 10. Just lead him. 1 second, he will be coming back. There he is. We got him.
Sorry, dropped out.
Did you just remove yourself? Or I
have no idea what happened. No, it just dropped out. I have no idea what happened. But no, we're back now.
So what I was saying, do you think democracy would work a lot better if there weren't any party affiliations and everyone was just their own man?
Look, that would be ideal. But it's just the nature of where we're at right now, in terms of technology and in terms of being able to actually listen to people, that it wouldn't work. In our current climate, it just wouldn't work. So if you have a perfect democracy, it would mean that every single person is involved with every single decision, and we vote on a majority basis. But then you're going to see things certain people are disinterested. Only the people with power are going to start influencing people and to get them to vote for certain things. And you're going to see a creation of a sort of party system outside of Parliament, where it's sort of different groups in society lobbying for different things, and the powerful, again, regaining control in a space which isn't as heavily moderated as the Parliament. So I think right now the party system is the best thing that we can do. If there's some way you can go into the future where you ensure that people aren't coerced, people aren't unduly influenced, where everyone can sort of be fully informed and then make decisions completely like autonomously, I think that would be better. But that is so far ahead in terms of like technology, in terms of like human nature in general, that like, yeah, this is probably the best thing we've got right now, I'd say.
No, because
what's your opinion on it? Yeah.
I agree with you on that perspective. It's just, I feel like certain people have a trait to where they get a taste of that first bit of power. They then get consumed by that thirst of power and try and wanting more. And we can see that with a lot of career politicians that don't really, they just want your vote. They don't really care what you have to say and what they want for the community. Yeah. They just want to get in and they want to collect that paycheck and they just want to have that power, their own power, not the collective power of the people. And that goes with that goes in talking with socialism and communism. In an ideal world, they are perfect systems, but it doesn't take into account human nature and when we haven't evolved to the point in our human nature where we don't get corrupted by power. It's just something that sometimes people go through and they have to deal with it themselves. It's
an unfortunate thing. Yeah,
it's an unfortunate thing.
It's that famous Batman quote, you know, you either die the hero or see yourself live long enough to become the villain. And that's
what Dark Knight came out with, wasn't it?
Dark Knight, that's from the Dark Knight, the Joker one, the one with the Joker in it. But like, obviously that's just a fictional story, but it makes so much sense if you apply it to like actual human nature. It's if you leave someone in power for too long and you leave them sort of unchecked in a position where they have that unlimited sort of reach, then human nature will eventually prevail in some way or the other. Even if they're the best person ever, if they have that unlimited sort of, if they don't have that check on themselves, or they aren't sort of, you know, watched with close oversight, then I don't know.
Away with a lot of things.
Yeah. I don't even think I can name a saint who would you be able to trust with that much power for that long. Like, it's essentially what we are. It's you go back to things like, you know, survival instincts. You can look at like the way the brain functions and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing with people is that power is shared and that power is always checked, so that people are never unanswerable to anyone. Like rule of law, that sort of thing. Most important things, in my opinion.
I'm talking about. We kind of got philosophical there. Do you have any favorite philosophers, or do you have any books that you're reading, or knowledge?
I wouldn't say favorite philosophers. All my arts lecturers will get really angry that I don't know anyone. But no one person sort of sticks out, and I think that's sort of just a testament to the fact that I don't like to take one person's work as sort of the be-all end-all and like follow them. I think the best thing you can do as a student, like for myself, and the best thing you can do as a member of the community is to sort of absorb as much information as you can from as many sources and then come to your own sort of conclusions on things. So with philosophy, I've read a lot of stuff through uni and through just other reading, but I wouldn't say any specific people. But if you ask me to comment on any specific issue, I could give you my own opinion, which is informed by certain people.
Multiple opinions and just come to your own conclusion.
Exactly.
And then nowadays with social media being so prevalent, and do you think there's a lack of critical thinking among younger people? They tend to hop onto the bandwagon. And how do you feel like to get people more engaged?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's sort of that influencer culture, right? Like everyone in sort of our generation is going to follow someone else. Yeah. And it's not to say that didn't exist before, but I think now more so than ever with like social media and the way that we have our own sort of communities, like our generations, right? Yeah. Would you say that you operate in the same online space as your parents or even your grandparents? No. It's we're essentially isolated, right? Like you may see your mum comment on like a 7 News post, or like, you know, I saw like dad the other day liking some like music video, but like essentially we're separated online. Like we have different interests. So these networking sites, they will sort of divide us into our own sort of generational groups. And I think within that group, we sort of fail to see the other generation's perspectives. Like we're always exposed to our own content. So unless you're proactively seeking out other viewpoints and other people, you're going to be sort of kept in a bubble where you're very comfortable and you're not going to be challenged. And I think that'll sort of foster bandwagon, like as you just said. People will just follow what's popular. They won't think for themselves, and they won't sort of really sit there and try and break down issues. They'd rather just sort of be told what to think because that's easier.
It's easier, and it's more. They're in their comfort zone. Then they don't. Do you think that's a problem with people nowadays? Is that they're too bogged down in their comfort zone? They don't want to try something new. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I wouldn't say people don't want to try anything new because I think I love to give like people the benefit of the doubt. I think people, if left to like their own sort of like their own interests and whatever, they will like do well, and they want to do better by themselves, like better for themselves rather. But I think the whole thing about being stuck in your comfort zone sort of comes from the fact that if you do try to step outside, or you do sort of try and like oppose the cultural norm to which you're assigned, you will be sort of alienated by that group, like alienated by your peers and sort of outcast, or you'll be labeled. Like as a young person, if you go out and say you belong to a specific political party or you have a specific belief in terms of a really like contentious topic, then you're immediately assigned to a team, and that'll be your label. That'll define you. So you will then be stuck with that group. And I think it's a lot of people's fears to be labeled like that and to be sort of like shunted off into one of those corners. And that's why they're so safe just staying in the middle. No one wants to speak out because if they do, they're going to be put into one of the extremes. And the people that do speak out, they are the ones sort of already on those sides, just trying to like draw people towards them or like move people around.
Have you had any experience of being that person going against the grain and having a lot of backlash for it? Is there any personal experiences or they like to discuss?
Look, I wouldn't say I'm too outspoken in terms of like different political issues and whatnot. And as a politician, here's a Matherspolitico exclusive, right?
Oh.
If as a politician or moving forward in service, whether it's through the Kingston Council, anything I do after that, or even if this is the rest of my career, I don't want to lie. I never have it said here now that I will never lie. And that is going to the fact that I will always give my truthful opinion on things and that I will always sort of fight for what I believe in. But it'll never be to the extent that you'd have to falsify something to someone else. Because I think that breaks down the whole thing about debating and being able to like efficiently like have a democracy and whatnot. In terms of being personally sort of subject to that like alienation thing, I wouldn't say I have been. And that's basically because I will always just sort of give my direct opinion on things. I don't like to sort of try to adhere to any team. So even if I'm a member of a political party or I'm like, part of this certain group, I will always talk the way I think. And I'm going to try and maintain that for as long as I can. Because I know obviously like if you're talking about things like federal and state politics, you always hear the politician having to, sell their soul to be able to like move up into those ranks. And that's very unfortunate. And I hope by the time that our generation is sort of at that level, things have changed. But for right now with local council elections, that's the absolute perfect thing. I don't have to sell myself or anything. Everything I'm saying as a local councillor, as a local council candidate,
it's coming from the Julian Taylor.
It's coming from the heart, which is coming from the people. And that can't be impacted or changed by anyone, which is my absolute favorite thing about running at this level.
Interesting. Because you're starting anew. It's a fresh campus and you can just grow with the community. And that's a really different way of thinking about running.
It's like Build-A-Bear, right?
It is.
build your own politician. You can choose what you want to be represented as. That's the perfect thing about this situation.
You can be your own person, be your own man, but in regard to your community. That's amazing, Jules. That's amazing. Do you have any you have any questions for myself or for the community?
Questions for people. Well, my main sort of dilemma right now is with doing the campaigning and whatnot. Obviously, I've only got to cover 3 or 4 suburbs, but we're all online. So stage 4 lockdowns, I don't know if people are aware, but we're not allowed to letterbox. Going out to like get different campaign materials together, door knocking, all of that, that's all like strictly forbidden under certain regulations. So I'm heavily relying on things like, social media. Basically just social media, to be honest, like things like this podcast. And then we're going to do a couple like mail outs of like different flyers and stuff. But it's a challenge to sort of campaign in such a climate because you can't do the typical things. Again, it's unprecedented sort of things. So if I have a question for you and then extend it to the community, anyone watching it a bit later, it'd be, if you were in a position to campaign now, like what would you sort of see as the best way to get your information out there? Like, how do I know that my neighbors, that I have their best interest at heart? Because I know I do, but I just need them to know that.
Well, that's a good question, because we're in our current climate. You can't really go door knocking and introduce yourself to your community, and I think that's a big staple of local run elections, is that people go door knocking. And you can't really lock it.
Because I'm asking people to trust me without meeting them. Like they're trusting right now just a photo and a couple Instagram posts. Like
I think
I want to break that barrier.
What would get people more to make you more trustworthy figure in their eyes is to complete actions that they care about and like videotape it or record it or make them see you're leading from the top and you're actually caring for them. So you actually you're talking about these things, even though you're running for the council. But I think people would want to see you actually trying to attempt to make your actions believable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do things that people want you to do, even if you're not in the local council just yet.
Yeah.
I think
because again, there's no show to be put on. There's no there's nothing to like sort of like display to people. Like there's nothing I need to sort of construe and then present. It's just that they need to know that I've got their best interests. Because I do. I honestly do. But I just need people to know that.
And that's a great question. And I think only time will tell. Will answer that question for you and to see if people have seen your message. A good way to start this, of course, is social media and looking at that and doing all the mail-in stuff and all the putting up the posters like they do back in the day.
Yeah.
I think that's a good start.
Do all of those things.
And it also comes back to your personality as well. You can't give up on these things. And people don't want effectively losers. You have to keep fighting until there's nothing left in the tank. And people will take they look onto that they'll be admired by that, and that will get them behind you in your corner to vote for you. If you just don't give up, keep doing what you're doing now, and just keep pushing the envelope, keep trying new things.
Yeah. And
doing, of course, your actions, because actions do speak louder than words. You can't just be talking about it. You've got to be.
That'll be the absolute goal, just to get out there.
Like you said previously in the podcast, doing it. You want to do it. Like Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Just do it. You need people who are in there just to do it. They've got no agenda, no like underlying things. Yeah. They just want to get in there and do it, and that's what I want to do.
Well, do it, Jules. Do it, Jules.
Right. I'll try my best to. And I've got really strong support and stuff from the communities I'm already a part of, which I'm really happy with. Yeah. Like, I'll give a shout out to all the like St. Bede's guys. Like, I haven't spoken to a lot of them for better part of 2 years now. But like when I posted that page, I got all the messages of support, like all the boys coming back out, being like, "Hey, like really cool to see you doing this. Let me know if you need help." And it's just really reassuring to know that I've got that community behind me, and even other friends from like work and stuff. It's really good to know that people who are in my life already like have that trust and like that sort of willingness to help me and support me. And I just hope that I can then spread that feeling to the community groups who I wish to represent. Because I want to do right by them, and I think to do right by them, I need to sort of prove myself to them first. And that's the goal.
You want to bring that sense of camaraderie together. You want that sense of
exactly.
a group feeling. Like luckily we got
sort of
we got through that with St. Bede's, didn't we? We had a whole progression through St. Bede's is about being your own man, but also being your own man to your own community.
Yeah, and exactly.
It is great. It's a great way to live, is being shown lots of empathy, shown lots of love to your own people, and being your own man for your own community. That could be a good slogan, Jules.
Could be a good slogan. I got to write some of these down and start hashing them out.
But do you have any concluding statements you'd like to make? So I don't want to keep you here too long.
No, I'm not. I don't think anyone's doing anything these days. Just avoiding doing uni work, I guess. And a lot of this campaign stuff's taken up a lot of my time. But if I have to conclude in any way, it'd sort of just be to say, well, first of all, thank you to everyone who's reached out so far and who's offered to help with the campaign. Thanks to you, Elliot, as well, for getting me on the podcast to have a good chat. It was good to chat to you as well after quite a while.
Thank you for accepting for the invitation as well.
Oh no, it was great. I enjoyed it. And the only thing I'd sort of say is when we do reduce lockdowns and we start to come out of this, I am an independent candidate. I don't have any party backing or anything. So I will need people to help me do things like, letterboxing and putting up signs and stuff. So if we do get to a point where that is allowed by the health restrictions, if anyone's watching and wants to help, just send me a message and we could really use some volunteers and stuff to help us get the thing moving. But no, apart from that, just want to be thankful for everyone for supporting and just, looking forward to the future, I guess.
There we go, Jules. I think that's the end of the podcast for today. Thank you for coming on. It was good to get to know the real Julian Taylor, the person who's going to be running for your very own Yammerbook Ward in the city of Kingston Council. And I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing, Julian. Never give up and always keep fighting for the people.
I'll try my best. Thank you very much.
That's all good, Jules. And until next time, you always have that community there to support you. And never cross yourself. All good. Well,
of course. All right.
I'll let you go. Until next time. And thank you for everyone tuning in for Matherspolitico podcast with Julian Taylor, an up-and-coming politician that we'll be seeing huge things of in the future. You never know. This could be the next Australian Prime Minister. Let's hope. Cross fingers, because we need people like this in our government. All right. I love your work, Jules. Until next time.
All right. Catch you later. Thank you.